Hello friends, welcome to our channel Icse Easy Learn. So today we are starting from effect of altitude on breathing. Okay, so what is the role of altitude in the process of breathing? So we must have done this in our geography classes also. As the altitude means height. As the height increases, the pressure of air decreases, and if there is decrease in pressure, then the oxygen content in the air also decreases. Okay, so they have said that when we are going higher up, okay, so the altitude is increasing, and if altitude is increasing, then decrease in pressure, and if there is decrease in pressure, then decrease in oxygen content must be there. Okay, for instance, they have given that at about 4,500 meters above the sea level, one may suffer from air sickness, and this is due to lack of oxygen. And what can it lead to? Dizziness, unsteady vision, loss of hearing, lack of muscular coordination, and even complete blackouts. Okay, now some terms are there, let's see them also. So there are hypoxia, okay, and the second one is asphyxiation. So hypoxia, so what do we mean by hypoxia? So when there is a deficiency of oxygen that is reaching to the tissues or the cells, then it is known as hypoxia. Okay, and why is it so? When we are sitting for long hour in a crowded room that doesn't have good ventilation or have the poor ventilation, then hypoxia occurs. And it may also be experienced when we are at high altitudes and where the oxygen content of the air is low. Now next is asphyxiation. Okay, now it is a condition in which the blood becomes more venous by accumulation of more carbon dioxide. We can basically say that when the carbon dioxide in our tissues, in our cells is more and the oxygen amount is low, then it is known as asphyxiation. Okay, and this is due to several cases like strangulation. Strangulation means when the blood vessels compress and the oxygen it doesn't get any space to enter in our body. Okay, at that time strangulation. Then drowning is that when we are in the water, okay, and water enters our body and it obstructs the respiratory tract, then the CO2 inside the tissues or the cells of the lung couldn't come outside, and the oxygen couldn't go inside. At that time, this happens. Now or if any obstruction is there in the respiratory tract, then what occurs? Asphyxiation occurs. Now death follows if the cause is not taken care of quickly, because if there is obstruction in the respiratory tract, then the respiration stops, and if the respiration stops, then there must be death. So if the person is taken care quickly, then the person can be taken to the hospital, and the hospital staff would provide the artificial respiration to the patient. Now we are going to study some of the experiments on breathing and respiration. So now the first experiment is very much simple. Okay, so these experiments are very much interesting also and simple also. So first is that we have to demonstrate or show that water is lost during breathing. Okay, when we are breathing, then the water is lost or used. Okay, so gently we have to breathe upon, okay, we have to breathe upon a cold surface, such as we can take a piece of glass or slate. Then when we are breathing upon it, then we can see the water droplets on the surface of the glass or slate, and that proves that the presence of moisture or water is there in the expired air, okay, or during the exhalation. Now second is that to show or to demonstrate that CO2 is given out in breathing. So what is happening? See, this is A flask and this is B flask. Okay, this is lime water and this is also lime water. Both flasks contain lime water. Okay, see, first of all, from our mouth, this is air. Okay, air, and this air is going inside this flask. Okay, they are going inside this flask and they didn't turn the lime water milky. So we can say that CO2 is not present in that air. So this air is now moving towards a mouth. Okay, then in the mouth they are going, respiration occurs. After respiration, breathing out. Okay, breathing out. Now the expired air, or the air that is exhaled, that goes again into the B flask, which contain lime water, and at this time this lime water turns milky. So at this time CO2 is present. So we can say that the expired air contains CO2. Okay, so now our third experiment is to demonstrate the action of the diaphragm during breathing. Okay, so let me show you the thing. See, this rubber paper or rubber sheet, or this one is diaphragm, is acting like a diaphragm. Okay, these two are our lungs and this is our mouth. Okay, so what is happening when we are pushing it downwards? Okay, then the air from outside comes inside, and when air, means inspired air, is coming inside, then the lungs expand. Okay, and when we are stretching this upward, diaphragm upward like a dome shaped, then air moves outside, and or we can say that the lungs relax. Okay, so this is, we can say, action of diaphragm. What is the action? That when diaphragm is in this shape, at the time air comes inside. When it is like dome shape, then air moves outside. Okay, so this is the action of diaphragm. So now our next experiment is to measure the volume of expired air. So what we have to do, this is a bell jar. Okay, and here's water, then it is a short tube, and this one is a long tube, and here's a bowl. Okay, now what is happening, we have to fill our chest with the air as much as we can. Okay, so we have inhaled the air inside our lungs as much as we can, and we have to blow it from this short tube. Okay, and from this it may enter this, and when the air comes to this in the water, then the water from here, from the long tube, will drop, okay, into the bowl. So the amount, or we can say the volume of the water that is expelled from the tube is equal to the volume of the expired air, okay, or the exhaled air. Okay, now in the fifth, what we have to do is to show that oxygen is taken in by animals also during respiration. So what we are going to do in this is that see, this is, we are taking two flasks A and B, and B1 is a control. Okay, now what we are doing is that in one we are taking live cockroach, and one we are taking dead cockroach. Okay, and candle, of course. So rubbered coke, and these are the conical flask. Okay, so what we are going to do for 2 to 3 hours, we are keeping these cockroaches here only. Okay, dead also and the live also. Okay, but in this we are keeping formalin, so that there must not be any decay of the dead cockroach. That's why. So after that we are introducing the candle. Okay, and we are keeping the burnt candle over here. So after keeping the candle, we are observing that which the time period of the candles basically. Okay, and what happens that the we can say the candle that is in a flask, will not burn as much as the candle in the B flask. Okay, so what's the reason? So here what is happening, this candle needs oxygen, this candle needs oxygen for combustion, but this live cockroach also need oxygen. That's why the all oxygen in this flask is taken by the cockroach only. So there is no oxygen left for the candle, and that's why it stopped burning. Okay, but in the second flask, what is happening? It's a dead cockroach, so it doesn't need any oxygen. So the all oxygen is obtained by this candle for burning. Okay, so now let's do progress check. So first is that mention any 2 points of difference in the quality of inspired and expired air. Okay, so the expired air contain less oxygen, but the inspired air contain more oxygen. Okay, and we can say that the inspired air contain less carbon dioxide, but the expired air contain more carbon dioxide. Okay, or we can say the water also. Okay, so next is that give reasons people climbing to high altitude may suffer from dizziness and unsteady vision due to lack of oxygen. Okay, lime water is used in most experiments on respiration. Why? We are using lime water to check whether CO2 is present or not. Third is that respiration rate is higher in animals than in plants. So now why the respiration rate is higher in animals than in plants? Simply because animals need more energy, so the respiration rate is higher than in the plants. Okay, now the next is our third one, that given alongside is an experiment. Okay, and we can say, and the question is that what is the mistake? See, this is dome shaped, but in spite of these lungs are expanded. But what is the mistake? That these are extended and they should be, we can say, the lungs should be relaxed. Okay, and the volume of the lungs must be now. The last portion of this chapter is the similarities and differences between the plant respiration and the animal respiration. So what are the similarities? That cellular respiration produces energy, okay, stored in ATP inside the mitochondria. This is similar in both. Anaerobic respiration forms CO2 and water. What are the differences? No external ventilation, means no breathing movements are there, but here breathing movements are there. Okay, no special gas transport. Okay, like in our animals or in our human beings, blood system is there. Okay, blood is there, that is transporting the oxygen to the body parts. But in the plant respiration there is not a special gas transport system. Okay, and there are usually direct diffusion is there from air spaces or from cell to cell. Now third is that anaerobic respiration form ethanol and CO2, but in animal it form lactic acid and no CO2 is formed in the animals. Green plant produce little detectable heat, but animal produce considerable detectable heat, means here less heat is formed, here more heat is formed. Fifth is green plant have additional oxygen source from photosynthesis. Yeah, but aerobic animals have only air as the oxygen source. Okay, now respiration rate is low and respiration rate is high. Okay, so now our chapter is completed, and points to remember you can read, okay, for sure, and these review questions we are going to do in our next video. Okay, so until that, if you have not seen the last or 2-3 parts of this chapter, then I'll give you the links in the description box and you can go and see them also. And also subscribe to our channel Icse Easy Learn, like this video, share it with all your friends who are having the difficulty. So bye bye, meet you in the next video.